In September of 2023, I made a video about the Trump Mugshot. The picture is, it was immediately clear, an iconic cultural artifact. I had not remotely anticipated creating a sequel video, and yet, well, here we are.
Well, here I am.
And maybe it shouldn't be surprising. Trump is a tremendous showman. He has a near supernatural ability to redirect negative energy into self-promotion and advantage. Moreover, his cultivation of memorable imagery is one of his strongest skill sets. And yet, the sheer impossibility of what happened on July 13th, 2024 is unfathomable. It's the kind of event that immediately unleashed an eruption of responses. Good, bad, and very, very ugly. As with the first one, this is gonna be a bumpy ride.
Hold on to your butts.
Let's dive in. On July 13th, 2024, a little bit after 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Donald Trump, and indeed the United States as a nation, dodged a bullet. A shooter used a ladder to climb onto a sloped roof next to the campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, and managed to fire 8 shots from only 120 meters away. That's just a little bit more than the length of a track straightaway. Trump was shot, but thankfully only a graze to the ear before dropping to the ground, the Secret Service attempting to cover him. Tragically, rally attendee Corey Comparator died of a fatal head wound while using his body to shield his wife and daughter. The retired firefighter chief died a hero, a man to be truly admired. A counter-sniper then took out the would-be assassin, Thomas Matthew Crooks, a 20-year-old who looked like Disparu had a child with the majority of Reddit. This is as good a time as any to point out that I am going with the accepted mainstream narrative here, whatever inquiries there may be to resolve. There are some good questions, and there's some stuff people throw out that's just plain wacky. I have tried to lay out the facts as best I can determine them before I move further into theories and opinion. You probably already know all of this, and you likely know what happened next, so I'll be brief. Once the threat was apparently neutralized, the Secret Service team, them, moved Trump, who had to get his shoes after they had been knocked off of him during the protective dogpile. And then, in an absolutely astounding moment, one that ascends the banality of ordinary politics, Trump had the presence of mind, the in-the-moment fortitude, having been shot in the ear, bleeding, and not knowing the full extent of the situation, to raise his fist and urge, "Fight, fight, fight." Look, you may like Trump, you may not, but for someone to react in that moment with defiance, with bravery, with the message to carry on and never give up on what you believe is right, come on. The crowd began to chant, "USA, USA, USA."
You know what? That makes me proud. And me.
Hell yeah. How could it not? Even Mark Zuckerberg had to grant.
I mean, on a personal note, it's, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life.
And yet, there are some who did not like it. If Trump does something good, cool, neat, badass. Well, it can't be good, because he is bad, even if it's surviving.
Don't miss Trump next time.
Wait a minute.
To me, it honestly seems like there's some sort of manufactured mania,
I love a well-conditioned soldier.
or rather a cultivated hysteria centered on this man. Frequently, this is called Trump derangement syndrome, TDS. And I'm not sure that's entirely a joke. I remember when George W. Bush was president, and man, the media and the Democrats and myself hated him. But they and I could usually articulate reasoning. Donald J. Trump derangement honestly seems to have wormed into people's minds in a way that is beyond rational thought. Even when presented with countervailing evidence that something they believe he said was taken grossly out of context or just plain false.
What is this, Bernard?
Doesn't look like anything to me.
It's like a blue screen of death on a computer. It's disturbing. The buffoonery of thinking that this was not a miraculous dodge of a much darker timeline
Madness and stupidity.
is at most forgiving, influenced by years of this cultivated and deep derangement. Foregoing grace and speaking more stridently, I could go further and name it contemptible, psychopathic, maybe even evil. Funny enough, those who think that Trump is literally Hitler have no idea how lucky they are that, in fact, their opponents are not just far, far better people than they accuse them of being, they're better than they themselves.
Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president? It's been a while. And maybe it's time.
If MAGA supporters were what they are called, the left would be in mortal peril. But instead, they suffer limited consequences, not approaching parity to their own treatment of opposition. Because these midwits escape repercussion, it seems like they refuse to learn, pushing and pushing on the patience of far better people.
You're not seeing what you don't want to see. Puppeteers.
Will it take manifesting a counteracting evil to realize the error in their ways? I really hope not. Then there's, destiny.
It's the dude, the firefighter guy, Trump, people that support him. I just want you to know, okay? Just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away or whatever, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am.
I think destiny is a pseudo-intellectual. And yeah, that term gets overused a lot. But he's a look it up on Wikipedia, then speak really fast guy. He wants to win the argument more than he wants conversation to steer him towards a better understanding of the world. Gina Carano got fired for suggesting that Americans are being encouraged to see their neighbors as less than human if they don't politically agree, and warned of the consequences of that trajectory. Disney fired her for this very reasonable statement. And let's face it, she was really fired for beep, bop, boop, but that's a different story. Incidentally, Disney has not fired Mark Ruffalo or Pedro Pascal for similar, or let's be real, far more egregious behavior. The irony is that those claiming to be on the side of love and tolerance seem to demonstrate through their behavior that they are really animated by deep hatred. On the other hand, Elon Musk has allowed information to flow much more freely on X, or Twitter. He endorsed Trump immediately after the shooting, citing Trump's display of literal courage under fire. Elon has managed to break the cartel-like behavior of social media and legacy media outlets, giving them less control over narrative crafting, and they hate him for that. This does not diminish the growing conflict between sides, but it does at least allow a platform for those who feel they have consistently experienced gaslighting by so-called credible sources. In the title of this video, I snuck the observation that this second Trump picture documents almost a Boogaloo. This is a reference to people online who think that the United States is headed towards an impending second civil war. Civil War II, Electric Boogaloo.
Okay. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
Some people identify as accelerationists, that the old world burn, and we will build a new one. Some think the only potentially peaceful path forward is national divorce. I love a Phoenix story as much as the next person, but these sound like the path to something more like the French Revolution, or worse, a Russian Revolution. These historical events had some really, really bad outcomes. Some people argued that the Trump shooting would make a case for gun control, and I find that laughable based on the precariously uncertain state of current affairs. As of today, in August of 2024, it seems like we're not actually living through a cultural or political disaster. But it does seem that there, but for the grace of God, go we. We were so close to true catastrophe. I find that a deeply sobering thought.